Good morning. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing well. Folks, I'm excited to be with you today to actually start these conversations live to talk about trauma, and hopefully we can even talk about some solutions. I know hopefully by now you have been reading and hearing about some of uh, the blogs that have been on Heat Time uh, Facebook page as well as LinkedIn, talking about trauma and specifically how it impacts African American communities. Well, I'm here to talk to you on our first show about what HEAT is. HEAT is an intervention that was developed by myself and Dr. Wheeler, Dr. Guy Wheeler, from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, my partner and co-author of HEAT. We started this project because we really wanted to focus on a population that we felt was underserved in the criminal justice system and in the treatment arena and mental health services. These are young African American males. And we felt like that the trauma impacts this population greater and the fire is burning hotter with this demographic more than any other group. So we felt it necessary to start and develop tools to effectively work and engage with this population more effectively. So we developed a curriculum for adult 18 to 29-year-olds, as well as we have a curriculum called Heat for Youth for 14 to 17-year-olds. And folks, let me tell you, it is truly a blessing just to be used as an instrument to be able to create this and to be used as an instrument to hopefully come up with solutions for us who work with these populations, who are shrugging our shoulders, scratching our heads, trying to figure out how are we going to work with this population effectively. We're losing them, folks. We're losing them to the streets. They're dying in the streets. They've been incarcerated at high rates, having disproportionate minority contact with law enforcement. We're seeing them even shot on the streets by law enforcement. So what do we do? What are some solutions? So HEAT is hopefully a tool, one tool that is a possible solution. We at Heat Time understand that it takes the entire community to make this thing work. Heat is a tool, but it takes the entire community, the commitment from community members such as law enforcement, the clergy, the churches in the community, providers, educators, judges, attorneys, all those folk, families who care about family members who are in these type of crisis situations. It's going to take all of us to make this thing happen and to address it. But Heat Time is just one tool. And so, again, a little more about it is the adult 18 to 29-year-old is a 36 sessions, 36 weeks. It takes 9 months to actually complete the adult model. It, again, is for 18 to 29-year-old Black males who are not necessarily in the criminal justice system, but they may even have present high risk criminogenic behaviors. So it's designed for them. It also deals with male issues. It's a gender specific, trauma informed, strength based intervention. So it's very targeted on issues of Black males. So we really try to the content really focuses on the issues that Black males, especially dealing with young Black males in inner cities, also in rural communities as well, who have these issues, who are facing trauma every day. The H4Y, Heat for Youth, is for 13 to 17-year-olds, and we're very excited about that particular tool. Dr. Guy Wheeler and myself developed this one with a lot of passion because we feel like our young African-American males are the most vulnerable. They're the most vulnerable to feel the true impact of trauma. So we were very passionate in trying to get a tool to the field that will be helpful in changing the lives of these young men, changing their lives and hopefully helping them heal. We take a holistic approach in our models. We look at self, changing the thinking of the individual to hopefully improve the way they think, the way that they make decisions. We also focus on the family because we know a lot of our issues in our community are in the family. We talk about the absent father. Dr. Wheeler has written a piece that is very powerful in addressing the issues of the absent father. We also focus very much on the community. You know, these young men do not belong to our programs. They don't belong to the criminal justice system. They belong to their families and their community. So we felt very strongly that the community piece needed to be as interactive, as important, as much as the family, as much as the self. But the most important part of our material, I believe, is in the spirituality. You know, our ancestors, African-American community, our ancestors have survived nearly 400 years of trauma. I mean, if we look at the history of African-American, it has been pretty bleak for the most part. I know that we've made some progress, but as a people, we still have a lot of challenges that we have to overcome. And we feel like without a spiritual connectedness, without principles, without things like hope, without things like faith, without things like forgiveness, without things like integrity and perseverance, without those spiritual principles, our ancestors would not have had the resiliency that they had in order to survive the trauma that we have faced during our time here in America. So we have to accentuate those strengths. Those spiritual principles are the guiding principles in which we operate and how we survive and how we overcome. So the HEAT curriculum encompasses those spiritual principles. We pull those principles, embrace those as a way to help us overcome. So we're very excited about that. And so that's kind of what HEAT is. We've got other material coming out soon where we want to do more work with the police department. We're wanting to do more work. We've done some work already, particularly in New Orleans, Louisiana. We've done some work there, but we wanted to do more work with law enforcement across the country. We're also wanting to do more work with women. And we've got product that is coming out soon dealing with women that are involved in the criminal justice system as well. So we're excited here at HEAT Time to present the field and bring to the field tools to hopefully help overcome the obstacles and the barriers that people face, particularly that are impacted by trauma. Now, trauma is an issue that I think we have to spend more time. I am a person that believes, and I talk to my colleague, Dr. Wheeler, about this all the time. Trauma is the central core issue that we're dealing with when we're trying to work with these populations, people. We have to talk about it. We have to understand, but we also have to understand that African-American experience with trauma plays out in a different way. It's a good conversation to have where we all have experienced trauma as a people, those, especially when you look at the adverse childhood experience studies, shows that many people experience trauma. But we have to also understand that trauma has played out in a very racialized way as it relates to African-American communities. So if we're going to heal, we have to understand that we have to heal from trauma. We also have to understand that not only the trauma that we experience in our day-to-day lives, just with life's challenges, dealing with institutional racism from the criminal justice system, to our education, with housing, transportation. All the social determinants are impacted, make racism is an additional burden when we talk about social determinants that impact our lives and make our communities unhealthy and unsafe. So we have to look at racism, but we also have to go deeper, folk, because we just didn't start experiencing adversity with these institutions, with these social determinants playing out through policy. Folks, this has been going on since 1619, since African Americans, since the Africans were first brought here in slavery. There's a lot of research out that even supports that epigenetics, meaning that our genes are now passed on generationally, where the trauma and stress related to trauma, PTSD symptoms are now proven that they're passed down generationally. It's called epigenetics, folks. We need to look that up. You can Google it or go on any website to look it up, epigenetics. See how there are even studies showing that people who have experienced trauma are passing down the trauma stress genes through epigenetics, that even grandchildren, great-grandchildren are experiencing PTSD symptoms that their ancestors experienced. That's frightening, because so what we're seeing in our communities today are our young people are not only experiencing the day-to-day trauma, violence, racism that they're experiencing, but they're also carrying the genes of our ancestors. So we don't need to ask people what's wrong with you. What we need to be asking people is what happened to you. Stop asking what's wrong with our young people today. They're off the chain, they're off the hook. No, what we need to be asking our young people is what happened? What happened to you? And not only what happened to you in your life since you've been here, but understanding what happened to them as a people that was passed on from their ancestors. So we are seeing our young people play this out every day through violence, other high-risk behaviors, substance abuse. We're seeing it playing out in other anxiety, other symptoms, associated nightmares, fear. Folks, do you realize that when a police officer pulls over a young person, that neither one of them feel safe? So they're basically being re-traumatized just by the mere fact of a police officer pulling over a young African-American male. It's a powder keg ready to explode, because both of them are experiencing trauma. Neither one feels safe, and they're in a situation where the only thing that can happen is someone gets locked up. In many cases, what we're seeing is that the young person ends up shot. And then we have to watch it through social media and on the news, which further traumatizes us. I don't know how you felt through some of the murders and some of the shootings that we've seen recently through social media from law enforcement. I've been re-traumatized to the point where when I see a police officer drive down the street or pull up behind me, and I'm not doing anything illegal, but the trauma, the feeling of trauma and cortisol that is released, the sugary substance cortisol is released, and I feel the impact and the anxiety of trauma. That's just called being Black in America, being a Black man in America. So that we have to understand that trauma is a major issue, is a major concern with this population. So here at Heat Time, we're trying to come up with solutions, folks. We're trying to understand this issue and how it plays out, how we see folk ending up in the criminal justice system many times. And the criminal justice system is basically ill-equipped, and providers are ill-equipped to basically handle these situations. How do we build resiliency to our African-American community when the trauma continues to permeate and exist and basically grows How do we deal with that when they show up in our criminal justice system? So heat time, we're trying to come up with tools. We're trying to come up with solutions. So what I would like for you to do, I would like for you to go, first of all, go to heattime.com. First of all, go to heattime.com and find out more about what we're doing and the work that is coming forth. Also, we've got training coming up. If you want to be trained in heat, if you want to be trained in Heat for Youth, we've got some training coming up. Our training for the adults are April the 14th. I'm sorry, April the 17th through the 19th. Again, April 17th through the 19th is going to be our adult training for heat. Our adolescent version, Heat for Youth, is going to be April 19th, 20th, and the 21st. That's going to be here in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where I am now, in beautiful Louisville, Kentucky. A little chilly outside today, but by then in April, we hope to have some good weather. So if you're coming from different parts of the country, we hope that you will come to Louisville and participate in our training, folks, because really the tools that we're using, these so-called even more advanced evidence-based approaches are many times are failing our population. So we have to broaden the horizon. Now, if what you're using now is working, let us know. We want to know if something you're using is working, and we can spread that message to the field as well. We're not saying we have all the answers. And if you're doing some things that are working, we want to hear about it. But if it's not working, then maybe you need to explore some other alternatives. And that's what Heat Time is trying to provide. If you're working with trauma impacted young men of color, and they are high risk, been involved or are involved in the criminal justice system, you may want to try something different. You may want to try heat. And we hope that you will go to our website again, heattime.com, heattime.com, and just check out our website, sign up for, we have a newsletter. We would like for you to sign up for that. We're going to do this every week, folks. Every Friday at 11 o'clock, we're going to try to do this broadcast. And we want to continue to talk about trauma. We want to continue to talk about the training, the tools. And I want to talk to you. So next time we're going to open up the chat line to hopefully get you all involved in these conversations where you can interact, you can ask questions. I'm hoping to get some guests to come on our show. I know I'm going to get my partner, Dr. Guy Wheeler, on this show. Hopefully even maybe get him next week to participate on the show. So we're going to have guests. And if you would like to come and speak and have an issue and like to be a guest, just let me know. We can get you on here as well. But this is just a beginning of a very important conversation. We have to begin to talk about this. We have to be able to address this issue because our young people are dying in the street and our young people are going to prison. And we need to come up with some solutions. So I thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you all listening and looking forward to your feedback. And don't forget, go to our website, heattime.com. And folks, I'm excited again that you are here and looking forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Thank you.